Hi, I'm Kim S., Canadian author of 3 New Age fictional novels, A Letter to My Son, A Letter to My Daughter, and 1111. We're here today at one of my favorite places in the world, Canmore, Alberta, with the beautiful Three Sisters Mountains behind me. And I'm going to read you the introduction from my 3rd novel, titled 1111. There was no mountain in the beginning. There was only paradise. And paradise was in the eye of the beholder. It could change from moment to moment at its master's whim, much like the pictures inside an entity's mind, only clearer. The colors were 1,000 times more brilliant than anything you have seen before. The images were sharper. The emotions, joy, gratitude, love, were far more profound than anything you have ever felt on this plane. The visions were always vivid and precise, and one could effortlessly change form or hold a focus for as long as desired. Every creation was natural and good. In paradise, it was easy to be and feel and think 100% love 100% of the time. Compassion and tolerance were non-existent concepts, for there was no need to be compassionate or tolerant in the land of perfect harmony. We were all of us love. We were one. But how could one truly know harmony without knowing chaos? How is it possible to fully appreciate the comfort of oneness without experiencing the fear of separation? As legend has it, one stood innocently pondering this very thought on that fateful day. For the first time, normally tame animals appeared restless. A breeze much stronger than usual blew leaves right off the branches and into the darkening sky. A nearby waterfall rushed violently over the edge of a cliff into a fury of white rapids that was normally a calm, bubbling brook. One's core rumbled uncontrollably as though our insides were in conflict. The strangest thing happened then. One extended our hands in front and viewed them with a dizzying awe, slowly swaying them back and forth as though to catch the full effects of double vision. At first, the 2 images were completely in sync with one another. But on each return, it became apparent they were actually separating further. Our hands continued in one fluid motion, while the second set slowed to a pace where they were actually swaying in the opposite direction. Pressure mounted in one's core. We felt pulled in 2 directions until the force was so great that we squeezed our eyes shut and gave out a loud cry that shook the ground beneath us. The shocked animals fled in all directions, and the sky grew darker. A bolt of lightning shot from the clouds above, jolting us to our knees, where we blacked out and fell to the ground. Who knows how much time had passed when we finally came to and looked around in a confused daze. The sky was clear again. The breeze was gentle. The animals were relaxed and grazed nearby. The waterfall and brook had settled. Everything seemed back to normal. Everything but one very notable detail. For the first time, we were looking at each other. 2 separate beings, an exact replica. Or so it seemed on the surface. 2 helped one to our feet, and the sense of camaraderie made us smile. This was something we had not experienced before, and we liked it very much. We grew accustomed to having a partner in creation and spent many days together making paradise even better. Of course, we both had our own thoughts about how things should be done, so we didn't always agree. But luckily, concepts like praise, acceptance, and forgiveness came easily to us, so there was nothing we couldn't overcome. Until the day came when one awoke to find that 2 was not at our side, and a new, unfamiliar feeling of annoyance set in. One went in search and found 2 down by the brook, creating things we hadn't agreed upon. Creatures swimming in the water, fruit hanging from the trees, a long, slender reptile that could move along the ground without any appendages at all. What was this? One had a choice then. We could focus on the beauty of 2's creations with the same love and gratitude we had always shown our own. We could center our thoughts on what was right and what brought us joy, rather than dwelling on what we perceived to be wrong. 2 also had a choice to bridge that gap when sensing one's disagreement. We could have talked and listened and tried to understand. But the lure of this newfound independence was great, and our power to resist unhealthy thoughts had been weakened in the Great Divide. The last time we saw each other, 2 was curled up under a tree with the reptile, enjoying one of those tasty new fruits by themselves. One wasn't invited. Paradise was never quite the same way after that. One spent more time recalling the original separation than focusing on improving our surroundings. This created more separations instead of creating more sections of paradise. Each time one saw the skies cloud over and bolts of lightning appear in the distance, we knew two was doing the same. More thoughts went unchecked, creating more separation and even heavier, darker feelings than before. Sadness, worry, blame, despair. Each division and subdivision reduced our power further, which made it increasingly difficult to elevate our individual moods and focus our thoughts on love. The land could only handle so much weight, and the day finally came when the edges crumbled under the pressure. Thousands upon thousands of us went tumbling down with the debris. In our despair, many prayed. Those who wished for things like hope and forgiveness seemed to find our footing quite high on the slope. Those who wished that others hadn't caused us so much pain fell further down the mountainside. When the dust finally settled, we all looked up toward the seemingly insurmountable summit where paradise remained. Shock set in. Many of us wondered how we were ever able to get caught up in this mob of negativity in the first place. Of course, no stone in a landslide ever blames itself, does it? It took us a while to accept what had happened and realize what was necessary to correct it. The ultimate goal was to focus on love alone, as our original master once did. To absorb all these lesser creations by bringing ourselves back up to harmony again. There were as many ways to do this as there were separations. And each way was right, but some of us felt our way was better. The preaching always began with good intentions. Those who truly believed ours was the best, most efficient way to harmony would rally support for our cause. Oh, we could create such power in numbers. It was always so exhilarating at first, and we made huge gains together on the climb back up the mountainside. The problems began only when we became more focused on this power than the ultimate goal, and we argued any new ideas that we feared may jeopardize our power, rather than considering them lovingly. From a distance, it was always obvious what had happened when teams began to tumble back down the slope together. It was a painful reminder to everyone that freedom of choice is what created the mountain in the first place, and freedom of choice was all that could uncreate it. The freedom to focus on love above all else, 100% of the time. I hope this little intro has enticed you to buy my book and read on to learn more about the inhabitants of this mountain and how they plan to return to the top. If you're ever looking for a bit of light reading and inspiration, look for my books at shop.polishpublishinggroup.com.